Thank you, Mr. President. The next
It's
list
got a horse
is
racing theme, you know. A1, A2, you know. We got a
moving
theme
right
here.
along. The next list is list number 2, and that is to be the Cape May County Prosecutor Robert Taylor of Stone Harbor, and I'll move that nomination.
Senator Scuteri moves the nomination. I'll direct Secretary Senator Allen.
I have had someone come to me and point out that in their belief, this nominee perjured himself in front of the Judiciary Committee. And my question is, has anyone come to the Judiciary Committee with that information? And if so, is anything being done about it?
Senator Scuteri.
Why would we start now? No, but in all frankness, no. That allegation was not made at the committee. There were some issues with this individual when he appeared before the committee. It was my estimation that he properly addressed those issues that were brought up. The allegation of perjury was not, at least not in front of our committee, was there an allegation that he had perjured himself under his oath. And he adequately addressed a number of issues that did come up.
I ask this really because I don't know the answer. If it were to be proven at a later date that that was the case, how would that affect any move we would make today?
Well, I don't ultimately know the answer to whether or not his nomination could be null and void. However, lying to the committee under oath is certainly a crime that's punishable. And I forget what the degree it is, 4th degree or 3rd degree crime.
All right, I thank you.
Thank you, Senator Allen. Senator Beck.
I rise in opposition to this nominee. You know, we get a lot of information before us in judiciary about individuals, and of course through the interview process are tasked with evaluating and trying to the best of our judgment determine if this is appropriate appointment, reappointment, and so forth. And in this particular case, we had many families and many women's organizations and many women individually step forward to express concern about the way this particular office has handled issues involving sexual assault and rape and other related women's issues. And if it had been if it had been one case, I think you might walk away. But when there is a pattern, when there are multiple, and through the process of the interview, I was left with concern. Again, it's always a judgment call. But to me, I would rather be certain that we have someone that is prosecuting and administering and enforcing the law that gives deference to the women who are survivors of very difficult and sometimes fatal circumstance than be supporting someone who is not. And so today I ask you to join me in voting no.
Thank you, Senator Beck. Senator Van Drew.
Yes, thank you, Mr. President. And let me speak to those issues. Number one, first of all, in all respect to Senator Beck, in all honesty, if you were that concerned and wanted to truly hear, you would have stayed for the committee meeting. You left very early. You did not hear the vast majority of testimony. With that level of concern that you had, and if the concern was that deep, I'd suggest that you fulfill your responsibility and be there for the entire meeting before you make that sort of accusation. Secondly, there aren't lots of women. There is one truly person that is a long-time opponent of this prosecutor, a long-time opponent of the last prosecutor, a long-time opponent of the prosecutor before that. The cases you refer to, Senator, just so you know, because I know that you weren't there for a good part of it, are cases that go back to the 1970s. All of the cases that you refer to are cases that he was not in office at the time. And yet, although he was not in office, he adequately addressed each and every one of them and spoke to the importance of continuing to pursue what are cold cases. And in fact, one of the cases that were mentioned, which are one of the most important ones, where it was mentioned that he would not be doing his job properly, again, before his time, he has reopened, worked with the family, and literally is in in contact with the Nagersmith family each and every month, particularly the father. So he has worked very diligently on that. In regards to women's issues, actually, he has worked with the Coalition Against Rape and Abuse and a host of other coalitions, organizations, and agencies, and has actually done some cutting-edge stuff. And in fact, there were people on the committee who expressed, after hearing what he had to say, and I'll let those senators speak for themselves if they want to, that they wished in their county they were doing the work that he was doing regarding anti-bullying measures. Because before it was the big buzzword over the last 6 months in this state and in this House, we were working on it, he was working on it in Cape May County. I'd also like to take note that he has bipartisan support, and that the governor, if it was an issue regarding what you said, if the governor was concerned, certainly the governor wouldn't have nominated him. He has gone through his four-way check, which was impeccable. He went through an attorney general, obviously, interview. That was absolutely no problem. In the process of his working, he has the support of the current attorney general, of the last attorney general, and of almost every prosecutor throughout the state of New Jersey, and most of the counties in the state has forged relationships with them. So I would just say that before we make statements and comments, and I say it on my side too, I'm a very nonpartisan, bipartisan individual, but when we make statements that are so strong about individuals' character, I think we really have to investigate it thoroughly and make sure that they're accurate. One gadfly who has had an issue with prosecutors that were supported and nominated by both Republican and Democratic governors for many years over time does not necessarily indicate the accuracy of any of the issues that have occurred. And again, just so I reemphasize with everyone understands that literally the cases you speak of are decades old. Some of them are up to 40 years old, and still he pursues them, still they work on them, and still they will continue to work on them. So I fully support this person. The governor nominated him, so I know that the governor supports him, and I would suggest that members of both sides of the aisle support him. And I do thank you, Senate President, for giving me that time.
Thank you, Senator. Senator Beck.
Thank you. And Senator Van Drew, you know that I do respect you and I respect your opinion. And this is a case where we may agree to disagree. I invested time, as I always do, in preparing for committee. I felt that I was there for long enough to make my evaluation, and frankly, my colleagues that sit on the committee came to the same conclusion as I did. Everybody in this room will obviously make their own judgment call. I just felt that it was important to be on the record as to why I'm voting no in this case, and hopefully I'm wrong. Hopefully this prosecutor is a good advocate for women, but it was not a single case. I certainly would not make this stand on the floor of the State Senate of New Jersey if it was one individual, but it was a lot of information that was provided us before the committee that gave me pause. Thank you.
Thank you. Senator Weinberg.